Good day. Hi, everyone. So, I am Faraz Peterson. I am a third year student at the Two Oceans Graduate Institute, and I'm doing my bachelor's in education. And right now, I'm doing a video on the first semester's third year module for educational psychology. And one of the first things that we want to look at for this module is the question: what is educational psychology to me? So, to break this down, I want to simply just look at three core aspects of this, all right? And I'm going to define educational psychology to myself. So, for me, it is the understanding of how we teach so that we can make sure we have what we need to teach and we can make sure that learning takes place. All right, so that is what educational psychology means to me. And to break it down, it's using a number of developed theories where we looked at the way different people in different stages of their life adapt to learning. And it's not a blanket statement for everyone to be the same. There are definitely exceptions to the cases, but for most people, this is what we can use as a sort of model in how we will expect the learning to take place. All right, so let's now dig into these three ideas that great. I am going to lay out. As I said in my intro, what I want to be looking at is how educational psychology impacts learning or teaching and learning. And with this, I'm breaking it down into three core tenets. And number one being development, secondly being learning, and then the third one, we will be looking at the theorists in educational psychology. All right, so looking at it from a development perspective, and this is where I want to bring in theorist Jean Piaget. And what we're looking at is him developing the theories around cognitive development. And what cognitive development brings in here is that it says to us that there are different developmental stages that we go through in life that determine how and what we are learning as we are growing up. So we take like the first 2 years and we're looking at what we call the sensory motor stage. And this is where you, as between the ages of just being born up until 2 years old, everything is sensory based. So it's what you touch, what you see, what you smell, what you hear. And then we move further along into the pre-operational stage, which is up until the age of 7. But then we come into the operational stage, which is where, as a teacher, I will spend most of my time with learners that is in that stage of development. And here we're looking at what are they capable of doing. So we know that, theorized by Jean Piaget, at the pre-operational stage, we have children that is a little bit more able to make comparisons or to be able to determine differences between what they like and what they don't like. So if we take, for example, the idea of chores, so we know that they're able to help out around the house and perform some chores, as well as when they're in the classroom, they know how they want to be treated and how they do not want to be treated. So we can take that as using the idea of cognitive development and bring it into our learning and teaching, and make a notice that we as the teachers, yes, we are adults and we in a sense would be the parent in the room, but we should take cognizance that the learners in the classroom are also capable of deciding what they're capable of and what they're not capable of, so that you can encourage them and teach them in a way that makes them feel included in the learning and teaching process. Now that we're moving on to the second part of my tenant here, and we're looking at the learning part, all right? And this is where I would like to bring in the theories around Lev Vygotsky, where he said to us that there is a zone of proximal to learning. What this means is that we use what is around us, as I said in my in part of what I'm trying to explain. So what we're taking from this is that if we take, for example, the capability that children are coming into your classroom and they're not coming in like a fresh sponge that you just grabbed out of the cupboard to start washing up your dishes, that is able to soak up all the dirt and soak up all the water. They have previous experience, they have previous knowledge. Yes, they are capable of taking in new information, but very importantly, we have to remember that they have had previous experience and they can make use of this in your classroom. So when you're doing lessons, when you are implementing different or new activities to them, you can remind them that, look, this is something similar you may have done before, and you can rely on this. So if we take, for example, mathematics, all right, when you're teaching mathematics, you can remind them that the previous year or the year before that they did similar type of mathematical sums, they can now use the skill where they currently are to go even further. And that is where we bring in the learning aspect, and it's around the proximal development of learning. All right. And then lastly, I wanted to focus on the theorist. Right. So as we went through educational psychology in the semester, we came across a number of theories in terms of the way that educational psychology can be used to improve in your teaching and your learning. All right. And this is where we can look at some of the systems that we are exposed to, or that learners and children are exposed to. So we're looking at the bioecological levels in this instance. All right. So we take that we have the individual who sits as the learner, and then they have their microsystems as well as their mesosystems. So the microsystems is the people that are in direct contact with most of their time. So this would usually be their family and friends. And since school is such a big part of our life, yes, we can include the teachers as well as the school staff. These are the people that have direct impact on how they learn. And this is what theorists took into consideration. Okay, so if we're looking at how they developed their theories over time and how it went from being the idea that we had people who develop cognitively through stages, we then took note of people like Skinner, who then went and looked at the behavior of people and the behavior of people as they are learning, so that we can stimulate our learners in a positive way that enables them to feel comfortable in the classroom. And this will basically yield learners that are more attentive in our classroom, so to say. We're not saying that they must sit there and be robots all the time, but we're acknowledging that they are different. We're acknowledging that we understand that they are different, and we are willing to help them learn the way they want to learn. So like I said, that is my three main core tenets in terms of how educational psychology is impacting learning and teaching. This is a segue into the next part of the video, and we want to just give a quick overview of the whole module, and it's basically my reflection of what I experienced over the last 4 or 5 months with this module. So like I said, these are the three core tenets that stuck with me, and it's because those were the main ideas in the modules. So starting off with the development, and one of the first assignments was the terminology assignment. So we had a list of terms and we had to define them. So that was a very good way of starting this module, because going in, you have this preconceived notion of what terms mean in terms of your language. But you see very quickly how it changes, because the subject matter is completely different to just the basic English language. And then we went into our second assignment, which was the theorists, where we looked at some of the theorists that we felt provided a very good sort of, their contribution was extremely well-founded. And then also, what I want to talk about is that what I'm basically getting from this is that, and this is where I'm able to reflect and I'm understanding the impact that it's having on me. So for the last few weeks and the last few months, something that has become very apparent to me in South Africa at the moment is that we have just gone through an extreme pandemic, and the pandemic is still going on. But one of the bigger pandemics that we've gone through, apart from the COVID-19 virus pandemic, it was more about people's liberties and freedoms. And it slowly seemed as if you no longer had your liberties and freedoms. And this is what educational psychology is actually also about. It's about teaching and educating learners that they have their liberties and their rights that they can use in order for them to excel at learning. And that is what I want to say had the biggest impact on me, is that we have to remember that children do not think like adults. And we as adults, we tend to, because we are so busy all the time, we tend to forget that they are still growing up, and we need to provide them with this sort of We need to paint this pie in the sky image for them, uh, pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. But we also need to be realistic with them, because in this world that we're currently living, there is a number of different avenues that they can go into. But they need to be reminded that we as educators, we use educational psychology so that we can make sure we improve on how we teach and that we understand how learners learn. That is my video on educational psychology semester 3. Sorry, not semester 3, for year 3, semester 1. I look forward to the next 6 months of the year. But thank you very much. Have a good day.